I'm laughing at the cats. Hi, it's Jane, and I'll WOTWIP and Coffee, which I just have plain water, so. The cats are chasing each other. It's hot today here. Finally, there's heat, and they are just really going at it. A lot of growling and hissing and just picking at each other like crazy. They fight for a minute and then separate, and then Ronan does this thing where he's tracking her around the house, like he's hunting prey. And then he'll jump on her and they get started again. They separate, and then she does the same thing that he's doing, and they're just a mess, these two cats. So you're going to hear them scattering probably here and there as they run through the house. I had to cut their nails, and that's, I gotta tell you, it's a chore. Izzy, I can get her to let me cut 1 or 2 nails while I'm petting her on the floor or when I'm sitting over on the love seat. She'll let me do that, and then she's out of there. Ronan, the feral is very strong in Ronan. So, since he doesn't like being held at all, generally what I have to do is I have to put a potato chip clip or hair clip on his back, at the back of his neck, like it's his mother holding him still to paralyze him, in order to get his nails clipped. And then I just go in and do as many as I can, or I let him go and take off, and maybe a day or 2 later I can do it again and get the rest of the nails. But I do have a sling that I have put him in the past when I get that clip on him. But it totally freaks him out, so try not to do that. I am crocheting again on the Afghan. Went ahead and placed a stitch marker. My sweater sleeves, all I need to do is bind off, and then I need to sew everything together, and then I think there's a couple of rounds for a band. It doesn't really button up, and I don't want it to button up, so do need to work on that part. And then I did decide I do want some pockets, so I'm going to work on making a couple of pockets to sew on the front somewhere. But yeah, the sweater is almost ready to be called finished object. Probably take another week, you know how it goes. And I've been having to get up early in the morning to go cut bamboo, and that kind of weighs on me, tires me out. And then I generally come in, take a nap, and then finish off what I'm doing later on in the afternoon. So it's just been a whirlwind around here. Just lots of fun going on left and right. And I, with making the garbage bag holders, I kind of laugh because I use elastic. And I know I had a roll of elastic, but I cannot find it. And what I mean is it's on a cardboard roll, and it's like about 20 yards. Back when I was making masks and everything, I could get that for about $13, $14, quarter inch. I have it in black. The black I know where it's at, but the white, for the life of me, I can't find that one. So I need to order a new one. I'll do that eventually. Just haven't gotten to it yet. Have some other things that are a little bit more important to work on, so that's kind of what I've been doing this week. And this weekend on Sunday evening starts the gospel concert series for the summer, and I am ready for that. That's another time that I find is helpful for me to get things done, because I can bring projects and crochet, knit them, that kind of thing. Usually before it starts, sometimes during, if it's generally I don't during, because I'm too busy having fun or clapping along or whatever. So that generally isn't something that I do. During a concert, like I said, I'll do it before. And generally, most of these, because the parking area is out on a grassy field that some spots is unsteady. I like to kind of get there early so I can park up closer from the road. So it's a little more even up that way. And yeah, that's kind of what I do then. I'm not real sure if this keeps growing the way it has been. I'm not real sure what they're going to do about parking, because they don't really have a whole lot of area for you to park. Guess you can park over on the other side of the building, of their main dining building, and park over there and walk. Which isn't too bad when there's daylight. Luckily, the concerts are starting early, so there should be plenty of light to see where you're walking. But yeah, I'm excited for that. Many times I get to see people I haven't seen or I just see in the grocery stores during these concerts. So that's, that's a good thing, being able to see that, see those people, and get to catch up with them, see what's going on in their lives. Like I said, it seems like it's in the grocery store mostly, a lot of these folks. So, what can you say, right? I also have a round of shout-outs. And I think I'll do the shout-outs first. And then I'll kind of show you a couple of things that I picked up this week for Operation Christmas Child. And a couple other things. All right, let's get into the shout-outs. First is Matchy Life. This is Sav. She is the owner of a slow fashion accessories brand, Matchy, Australia. She's going to show you what it's like to own a small business, product information on items that she sells, and tutorials. The next channel is Carla's Beautiful Things. Carla shows you all kinds of things that are beautiful, that add pleasure, joy to her life, and she hopes that you will enjoy them as well. She also shares her treasure finds and lots of times offers those up for you to love and enjoy as well. So a lot of hers are thrift-based. Don't count them out. Some of them are gorgeous. The next channel is, and these aren't all just crochet or knit. I like doing a lot of different ones. Next channel is Lori's Stories and Crochet. This is Lori. She was a high school math teacher for 25 years and has a lot of great stories to share, I can imagine. Crocheting is her passion since she had to take an early retirement. And Lori, the armchair chef, inspired her to go ahead and make a channel to share all of her crochet and fun stories. She has a granddaughter and grandson that live nearby. So yeah, she talked about her daughters. She has 5 girls, 3 are adults and 2 that are teenagers. And 2 of them are learning to crochet, but the others just aren't interested yet. Her grandmother taught her, and then she took about 30 years off. How many of us did that? Took a few years off. She had never made a blanket before 2021. Then she found YouTube, which helped her to relearn. And that is a good thing about YouTube. It helps with a lot of different things. I know my son tells me when he needs to do a repair on his car, he goes to look and see if there's a YouTube channel, that talks about the repair on his specific car, make, and model. So, all right, the next channel is Newport Yarn and Fibers. This is Carrie and Mary. Everything you need to know about hugs through shrugs. This is a nonprofit organization and their ongoing fiber fundraiser for Newport Yarn and Fibers, supporting moms with critically ill or injured hospitalized children and those whose lives have been affected by pediatric cancer. This is a great nonprofit, and it's a pretty good channel. I know when I first noticed it, I'd asked why they didn't have a link on their videos on YouTube to their channel so that we could shop. Because you can shop, purchase some of the different yarns and things that they have. The next channel is Erica Crumpen. Hey, this is Erica. Welcome to her YouTube channel. She, as she puts it, if you are ready to level up as a business owner and content creator, you're in the right place. She built a 6-figure pooper scooper business from $0 to $250,000 a year. So now she is sharing her experience to help you thrive in your entrepreneurial journey. And I know some of you may be doing that or have aspirations. So here's a young lady that has done this, and she takes you along on what her journey was, gives you some hints, tips, and tricks. Okay? Next channel is Journey Channel Designs. This is Journey Channel, and she brings you size inclusive, extra small to 7X, 8X crochet fashion with easy construction for all levels of crocheters. And she does have a Ravelry store where you can find her patterns at. And she's got quite a few places you can follow her on. TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, all those kind of things. Then there is Toya in Stitches. This is LaToya. Here she's going to help you find made-to-measure crochet tutorials of her own design. So those are a couple of the channels, so I hope you give them a look-see. Now, this week I went to the food pantry, and there are standard things that they give out each and every time. Every once in a while they give out extra things, and I will tell you, well, one of the extra things was, and I'm thrilled about it, doesn't bother me a bit, but they were handing out these. They had quite a couple of cases of the Earth Breeze, and I have always wanted to try this. These are laundry detergent Eco sheets, and it's a fresh scent, and this will give you, it says up to 60 loads. If you do half loads, it'll give you 60, but if you do a full load, it'll only give you 30. but they smell good, so always want to try them. Get to try them for free now, so couldn't be happier about that. And the other day I'd stopped at Dollar General, and I picked up a few drink mixes, and I showed you that yesterday. But I also picked up a couple of towels. This one's Bloom Where You Are Planted, and this one is just some butterflies. Real pretty. These are 100% cotton, which is what I prefer to use anyway. But they had them in the markdown section, buy one, get one free, so of course I'm going to pick them up. And then also, when I was at Ollie's yesterday, I picked these up because I am constantly losing my reading glasses. I'm not quite sure where they go, but they go to the reading glasses cave of the house, I suppose. You would think just sitting here in this chair they wouldn't go far. But this one has 3 readers and a pair of what they call sun readers. I've never seen sun readers. So, and I have no clue how they fit, because you know sometimes when you get these on, they fit horribly. But these made them about $1.75 a piece. Not a bad price. Fit pretty nicely. But the one that I am the most curious about is the sun readers. I have never heard of sun readers. I guess if you're out in the sun, you're sun tanning or whatever, it would be a good idea to have them. And yeah, they are shaded, so not a bad purchase. They were $6.99 for 4 of them, so that makes them about $1.75 a piece. So, like I said, it wasn't such a bad deal. And I think that's about it. I did want to show you something. When I'd gone to that women's conference, there was a young lady there that does a lot of diamond painting. Not diamond painting. Well, I guess they do call it diamond painting. And she likes doing bookmarks. So she does bookmarks year-round. And so she handed out bookmarks to a few folks. She didn't have enough for everybody, because she figured they wouldn't have more than about 20, 25 people. And the group that I'm in brought 30, plus whatever they normally have. So she was a little surprised at that. But she did quite a few of the different patterns of the bookmarks. So that was kind of neat for her to be able to hand them out. She didn't hand them out to everybody, so. But I was one of the lucky ones, so I was able to get one. And I think that's about it for now, for that part. I started looking for another devotional for when we're finished with the devotional here that I have, which it'll take us through the end of the year, probably into the next year, possibly. But it doesn't hurt to start looking. And I think I may have found the one that I would like to get. So I'm going to check it out and see if I can find for a relatively decent price. You can get it brand new on Amazon, and I don't know if they have any used ones or not, but it is completely on the Psalms. And I think that might be an interesting devotion to follow with. Of course, there are 119 Psalms, and some of them are pretty long. You know that 119's got a whole lot of parts to it. So it'll probably take us through a whole year of doing the devotional for that one. So that's what I'm looking at as far as devotion goes when we finish up this one. We're probably about a little over a third of the way through it. So have a bit more to go. We've reached the point where the heat outside have to have the air conditioner on, which is nice, with the exception of, the electricity costs going up. This is one thing that ticks me off about this, this whole green energy thing. I mean, all of my appliances are green energy certified. It's supposed to save on energy and all that kind of stuff. Okay, fine. I don't keep my house terribly cool. So, there's that. I don't use a lot of electrical things during the day. Don't use a lot of lights during the day. Try to use natural light most of the time. The most electricity that would be running would be to my computer and to my sewing machine. And still, cost of electricity is high. When they did this whole deregulation, it was supposed to cut energy costs, but as you know, energy prices just keep going higher and higher. And some of that we can blame on simple things like, if you've got solar units that you're using to feed back into the energy grid, like these solar farms, somewhere you had to pay for the initial startup of it, and most of those got a grant from the government to start those up, so they've got to pay back those loans. So of course there's fees for that. And then there's fees for using green energy. And it just stacks up and stacks up. And then we have a lot of electrical plants that have gone under because either they were coal and people trying to phase out coal plants, which quite honestly is one of the most economical ways to produce electricity. People complained about the things, the carbon emissions and those kind of things. They developed ways to capture that and to create the ash that came off of it is actually what goes into your house for drywall. So, you have trade-offs for everything. But it didn't decrease the cost of nothing. In fact, I think it increased the cost of everything. So, yeah, And I have a friend that had studied a lot of things like nuclear-powered units that would be in your backyard that would reduce the cost of energy. But of course, a lot of places, you say nuclear and they're terrified immediately. But you think nothing of walking into a hospital that has all kinds of nuclear-powered machinery there. But, like I said, we have offsets for everything. This morning, I was sitting with a group for coffee, and one of the ladies was talking about the house they lived in, and it was their parents' house. So it originally was built without bathrooms, that they had outhouses in the back. And one of the ladies lived in the community here. In the 1930s, they had already developed the sewer system, water system in that one area that's close by here. And she said, we already had that in the 30s. So we already had, we didn't have septic tanks or outhouses or anything like that. Do I know how we got on that subject? There is no clue how we get on some of the subjects we talk about. We talked about the whole thing with some of the old wives' tales about the things that are great remedies to help with coughs, all kinds of things, and how nowadays modern medicine is finding that they do have some therapeutic costs and some therapeutic values for those. I think one of them was about onions, because in the old days when you took your child to the doctor with a high fever, many times the doctor would tell you to put onions on your child's feet, put their socks over their feet, and in the morning, remove them, wash their feet. Well, there's always been this theory that if you do that with onions on your feet at night, it'll remove the toxins out of your body. And with fever, it actually cooks the onions. So there's that. And there's also that theory that if you have an onion sitting in your home, it'll absorb the viruses, illnesses in the house, and then you would just toss it. There's a lot of things like that. I know my mother, for colds, she used to take onions and boil them, skins and all, strain it, let it cool, and when we had a cold, we had to drink a cup of that. And it may be crazy, but I can remember the next day feeling much better, and the cold was pretty much gone. So who knows? I know when my youngest was born, he was a pretty colicky baby from probably about third week to about a month old. He was real colicky. Anything would set him off. My next door neighbors had come by and they saw how frustrated I was, and I was exhausted because I had 3 other children on top of that. And so they asked if they could take the baby next door, try to calm him down and, whatnot. And I said, sure. I trusted them. They had helped me watch the kids and, we were in and out of each other's. We were living in a duplex and they were my next door neighbors. And we were in and out of each other's apartments all the time and, talking, that kind of stuff. We'd sit out on the porch together and talk while the kids played, all that kind of nonsense. So they took the baby and they were gone about 2 hours and they brought him back and he was nice and calm and they gave me a small jar of onion tea. And they said we put a little bit in a nipple after it cooled, let him suck on it, and that's what you do if he starts to get colicky, and it'll take care of the colic. It worked. So, those are things that we get into discussions about in this morning coffee time. And it's just time to get together and socialize once a week. So, very nice, comfortable. It's with people I know. So, yeah, it was nice sitting and talking with that kind of thing. And it's interesting to find out the differences in some of the services in our area. I have a garbage company, picks up my garbage each week, and my charges each month are $29. One of the other fellows, well, he has a different company, and his is $17. No, $17.50 a month for them to pick up his garbage once a week. Now, one of the other guys was talking about when it used to be $8 a month for them to come pick up your garbage. Of course, with the cost of gasoline prices went up, and you know they're never going to go back down, so just when I go to get the food pantry box, on the way there's a gas station, and it's a small gas station. It's called Unimart, and I drove past there, and their gas was $2.99 a gallon. Now, it has been that way for the past 2 weeks. So, and I don't think you have to have a loyalty card to get it at that price. I think that's what it's at the pump. But around here, gas right now is $3.09 to $3.29, depending on where you're at. The weekend is coming up, so tomorrow they'll all raise their gas prices. Well, they'll probably do it this afternoon for the weekend. And I don't think they should be allowed to do that. It generally used to be the law that you could only change your gas prices when you got in a new truckload of gasoline. Who knows what it is nowadays? And of course, Pennsylvania has one of the highest gasoline taxes to begin with, so that's why our gas is always high. So many times when other states are like $2.70, $2.69, $2.59, we're still at $3. So, and what's funny is it's supposed to go for roads and all kinds of other things on top of that fee we pay every year for our car. And Pennsylvania has some of the worst roads ever. Of any state I have lived in, they have the worst road system. Their roads are horrible. But they're too busy taking that gas money, those tax monies, and spending them in Philadelphia, Harrisburg, and Pittsburgh. Erie too. That the rest of the state just basically gets screwed. I hope they don't do that in your states. So what are you guys working on today? Have you got anything finished up this week? I do enjoy reading the comments. And yes, I do read them. I heart them. But of course, when I go back to look at them, they're no longer hearted and thumbed up and everything else. So I don't know what it is about YouTube. When you go into their section where you can do community and supposedly do all that kind of stuff, for some reason it's not saved. Then sometimes I do come in and just actually go to the video, look at the video comments, heart them, and if there are any questions, I try to comment. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You know. And sometimes I wonder if that's because YouTube thinks they're going to bring us something new, great, and wonderful. You know, it's kind of like Facebook. They're always changing stuff. But my plan, like I said, is to finish that sweater. I have another sweater. Let me get a drink. Allergies. I have another sweater that I'd started knitting that I would like to finish. And it's more of a winter top. Just a basic like T-top. that I was knitting, and I think I'm going to pull that out to work on. Now I'm going to get the hiccups. Do you guys ever do that? Get the hiccups and then have them the rest of the day? I do that. When I get the hiccups, I'm guaranteed I'm going to have them the rest of the day off and on. So, it's crazy. Crazy, crazy. But anyway, I'm going to pull that out of the tote because that's going to be the next thing that I would like to work on, as in a whip that needs to be finished. Oh boy. So, yeah, I'll be pulling that out. I'm going to continue to work on this. I do have an idea for an Afghan for men that I would like to start, that is just going to be using browns and maybe maybe a little bit of variegation in it. So that is something that I am looking at, some different stitches to see about using different stitch pattern, or maybe 2 or 3 together to see how they work together. And so I've got to get that yarn pulled out and ready to go. Ronan, what are you doing? This cat. Telling you, he's a nut sometimes. And lately, his whole thing about having to get up on this chair or get up on the arm of my chair and just sit and look at me. He wants loves and pets, but boy, the minute you try to go give him kind of like a kitty hug, he's out of here. He's like, nope, not having it. But he is a bit of a character. He likes to sleep in my plastic bag that I collect my recyclable paper in. I toss it into that bag, and he likes to lay on that bag. In fact, that's his favorite place to sleep. So that, and he's got a place in my closet. I have totes stacked up where each season, like the winter clothes, are packed away in that tote, and they're stacked up under some dresses in the very corner of the closet. And so he likes to get up there and sleep on the top of those totes in amongst the dresses because he's well hidden. And every once in a while I'll be like, where's Ronan? And I'll go looking, and sure enough, he's in there. They've also been enjoying different boxes that I've had laying around that I let them play in. And these two, they like to sleep in the boxes every once in a while. So, and I know I need to pick them up, so yeah, I'll be doing that this weekend too. Supposedly we're gonna get some rain. I think tomorrow or Saturday. Is it Saturday? Maybe it's Saturday. Don't know if it's raining all day or just some of the day. Yeah, tomorrow we're supposed to get what it says is passing shower or two. Precipitation 80%. And that's during the day. So we'll see. And then there's a couple of thunderstorms. Supposed to be getting a thunderstorm tonight. Supposedly with high damaging winds. Who knows? And then I keep hearing about that cloud, that cloud of dust coming from the Sahara. That if it's raining, it'll be raining mud. That'll be hitting the southeastern part of the U.S. I believe they said sometime this week or early next week. I'm like, oh, goody. That'll be interesting to have mud being poured down on you instead of regular rain. Who knew? I don't know if I told you about my visit with the dietitian, the diabetes educator. Because I told him, yeah, let's go ahead and sign me up for the whole thing and do the whole thing, from start to beginning, like I don't know a thing. So they had told me, I get a call, and they told me about the visit, that I needed to go to the endocrinology department to check in, and then they would take me back. Well, there was a part of me that kept thinking, I don't remember that's where I went when I went there back in 2012 for the classes. So I was like, well, okay, it was bought out by a different company. Maybe they've switched things around, that kind of thing. So I go into the endocrinology department, and they have two young girls there. They've never been there. They were floated in from somewhere else. They've had a hard time keeping people to help check in there at the hospital. I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know if it's because of the amount of work they're giving them or what exactly is going on. These were two new young girls. So I come in, told them I had an appointment with her, and they kind of look at me, okay. I said, I was told this is where I need to come to check in. Is that true, or do I need to go to another place? Because I don't remember coming here for diabetes education before, but, maybe things have changed. No, we'll get you all taken care of. So she takes my name. She says, I know she's here. I just don't know where she's at. So they had me sitting there for about 20 minutes. And finally, she called one of her friends who worked in another department. And she said, no, that's in a totally different area of the hospital. It's around the corner and down the hall. So she did take me back there, and like I said, told the girl, well, either I missed the signs coming off the elevator or I was given the wrong directions. And they did tell me that last week they had a temp in there that was helping out, and she was calling people back and she was telling them to go to the endocrinology department. So that wasn't my craziness. But so we talked, and we had about a 40-minute session. Normally you get an hour. But, I told her, I said, don't worry about it. Just mark it as an hour for Medicare and all that kind of stuff for the diabetes education. So they also have diabetic classes where they do different things with teaching you about your diabetes, carb counting, you name it, ways to help keep your blood sugars managed and all that stuff. So, but they only do the classes every other month. And July is completely booked up. So I said, okay, let's sign me up. The next time they have it is September. And she said, you have a year to sign up for them if you would like to through Medicare. I said, well, just sign me up for September. Don't worry about it. Just sign me up. So we did get all that done, taken care of. But sometimes you have to worry about these medical facilities, what's going on behind the scenes, and why they're having so many problems. Now, I will say that UPMC has always been fairly decent as far as the way they treat their patients and take care of everyone. However, I'm noticing that they have become more money hungry. So they want to turn around and charge you for every little thing. But yeah, so it's one of those things. It'll be interesting to see how it goes. So that's basics of what's going on around here. I think I've yammered on long enough, so I'm going to let you go. So everybody have a great weekend, and I will see you again soon. And do something kind if you can.